Hey guys, welcome back. To this week's lesson is on two things. First of all, step families, and then also just a revisit on emotional distress and how we can best address that. Because I don't know about you guys, but this quarantine or whatever you want to call it is kind of difficult sometimes. So I just thought it would be good to revisit that. But per our normal schedule, um, the week that Tyler and Anthony were going to be gone, we were going to talk about step families anyway, and that was supposed to be my week. So, but then everything happened and we had everything canceled, and here we are, and we're doing everything on the internet. So, I'm going to just talk about that real quick. I know most of you guys are actually in separated situations, so it might not necessarily apply as much, but it might be in the future. So, I just wanted to kind of briefly mention it. And this actually goes into my story a little bit because both of my parents actually did remarry after they got divorced. My dad remarried a lady that he met at work, and they are still married. My mom married someone that was a mutual friend that she met. They are no longer currently married. Both of my stepmom, Cindy, and my previous stepdad, Troy, have children of their own, too. Now, I never actually lived with them because Troy's kids lived with their mom, and I only ever saw them a couple times. And then my stepmom's kids were older than me, so they all had moved out. Had some of them had families, married themselves. So, but I can at least speak personally to having step parents and sort of to having step siblings. So, and also there's the whole process of dating, your parents dating. So, I just want to talk about that briefly. First of all, it might be kind of weird, and that's okay. But the best thing you can do as your mom and dad, if they decide, and they might not decide to, but in case this happens, because a lot of parents, they want to find somebody, and that's totally okay. Um, but as this person comes around, just the best thing you can do is to honor your mom and dad by treating the boyfriend, girlfriend with respect because they are someone that is important to your mom and dad. So, scripture tells us honor your father and mother, So that's really important to respect them. You don't have to immediately love them. They don't have to be your best friend right away. It takes time to get to know somebody. That's totally fine. But, just have that respectful demeanor when you are addressing them, when they're addressing you, if you interact. And then, they might have kids that come around, just be nice, be kind. Maybe they don't. I don't know. Every situation is different. It's crazy. I mean, there's so many different combinations that could happen. Maybe some of your parents will even get back together. I mean, we don't know. So I just want to speak on this in case this is in the future for you guys. And honestly, think of it more not like something is ending, but like something new is happening, something good. Because this could be someone who becomes a friend in your life, someone that you can go to, so like if you're with your dad, then your stepmom is someone who you can go to, girls for something when you're with him. Like you guys can build relationships that are like friends, like family, that are family. It just is a little different than just like a mom and dad. It's like now you have stepmom and or a stepdad. And that's slightly different, but it's not the end of the world. Like it can be something really good. I have had moments where I did have disagreements with my step parents. I had trouble accepting, uh, like, if they told me what to do, I didn't necessarily handle that super well because to me, they didn't have that place in my life. Now, I will say, if they, out of respect for your mom and dad, you should do what they tell you. But if any parents are watching right now, I would also say that it is helpful. It is hard for kids to to treat them like a blood relative or blood mom and dad. And so it's best to not, and for the step parents' sake too, it's easier on everybody if they just aren't in that role. That if, you know, if you kids are doing something that they go, that hopefully the ideal situation, but respect either way, right? Respect, honor your parents. I think your step parents are honored in this too, is considered included in the Bible too, where it says honor your father and mother. That includes step parents. So, do that. And especially if they're in a babysitting situation where they're watching you while your blood mom or dad is gone, then respect them and listen to them like you would a babysitter, of course. But it can be a little bit iffy. So I wanted to let you know that. Don't be surprised. And if there is anything that comes up, just talk to your parents about it. Okay, just pull them aside. But look at this as an opportunity, as like we can be friends. We can have a new family member. That's what happened with my stepmom and prior stepdad. Like, we had moments where we might have butted heads a little bit, but over time, they became family, And I wish I could have gotten to know my step siblings a little bit better. Troy's son lived with us for a little while, and I got to know him. He's super cool dude. Super cool. I liked him a lot. Haven't seen him in a couple years now, but this is an opportunity to just make your family bigger, and it's kind of cool. So whether that happens to you or not, I just wanted to cover that, and maybe use this as a reference later, if you just need some help, and by all means reach out to us at any time. Yeah, so maybe that's in your future. Maybe it's currently in your life. I don't know. But yeah, just reach out if you have any questions. I'm not sure if I really covered everything that's helpful. So if there's anything you're kind of like, but what about this? Then just ask one of us, any of the four of us, or talk to your parents, or talk to Miss Janet, But the other thing I wanted to cover is emotions and all of that. I know right now, like for me, I realized when I was a kid, I used to, school was kind of an escape. I don't think I realized that when I was a kid, but I was an A and B student in elementary school, but then when I got to middle school and through high school, I was a straight A student. And so I look at that and I'm like, okay, well, maybe I was doing that. Like, I felt the need to be a straight A student because it felt like something that I could control, something that I could do well at. I didn't know how to handle everything happening at home or at, the other parent's house, but I could handle school and I was good at school, so I did my best at school. My personality, I'm really not like a perfectionist when it comes to school. I'm very type B, if you know what that means. It's like type A is very like on top of things, planners, organizers. I'm not a planner or an organizer. Sometimes, but I'm also just more of a go with the flow kind of person. So, I really think that was one way I adjusted, and maybe that's the same for you guys. Like, now that you're not going to school, you're not maybe able to see your friends as often, it might be like you're forced to face your family more and face things that you don't really know what to deal with. So I just want to talk about that a little bit. First of all, it's okay to be a little bit sad, a little bit down. It's okay. Don't be worried about that. Don't let it lead to anxiety or like you're trying to push it away. Like, just kind of sit in it and be like, okay, I'm kind of sad right now, but Jesus, like, I'm going to turn to you in this moment, and I'm going to cast my worries on you, cast my anxieties on you, because you care for me. And he cares for every single one of you, and so you can do that. Just come to him and be like, God, like, I need you right now. Just kind of help me with this. And don't be in a rush. Just kind of like sit there, just you and Jesus, and just be like, God, this is where I'm at. Help me to figure this out. Maybe you don't even know how you feel. Maybe you're like, I feel weird, like, maybe I'm depressed, maybe I'm just bored, like, I don't know, but I'm just gonna, pray about it. talk to God and ask Him to just kind of reveal that to me. And if you ask Him, He'll do it, you know? So that would be my recommendation. Just, you know, it's totally okay to feel sad when you don't get to see your friends as much, or if something happens with your mom or dad, or a sibling, or somebody in your extended family. Like, it's okay to feel sad. That's all right. I think sometimes in our culture we think we have to get rid of that as soon as possible because it doesn't feel good, and we're very like feel good culture. We want to do what feels good. We want to, and that's not biblical. So we're Christ followers. We are supposed to be kind of different than everybody else. You know, everyone else is trying to, and joy is of the Lord. That is a fruit of the Spirit. But it's just we don't want to just cover it up. That's the problem, and that's the problem that even a lot of adults have. We try to cover it up instead of addressing the core problem. And so sometimes you have to figure out what the core problem is. It's not even obvious. It's not like you're trying to avoid it. Like for me, for instance, okay? When I was a kid, I think my parents had a pretty rough divorce. They didn't get along very well. And that had a pretty big effect on me. I'm the oldest of 3, and I tried to be the communicator. And that was not a role I should have had. It put me in an adult-like role that I shouldn't have been in, really. I thought I could handle it, and it looked like I was. But I think I had some sadness that I wasn't addressing because I didn't know what to do with it. So I just covered it up and just kept moving forward, right? Okay, so then I get to my adult life. And some things happen in my life that just kind of like they push me back to those emotions. And, you know, when you're an adult and you're trying to deal with that, it's very difficult. It doesn't just show up as sadness, it shows up as like, I'm having all these thoughts, I'm anxious all the time, maybe depression, it can show up as depression. Well, even when you're a kid a little bit, but especially as an adult, once I hit my 20s, things just kind of piled up and just, it was rough. And I think that happens with a lot of adults, actually. It's pretty normal because a lot of us have stuff in our past and when we were little that we just never kind of got through. But the point is that when things happen to us, what we need to do, and when you're a kid especially, it's hard because you don't know how to do this yet. So when bad things happen to you as a kid, and divorce is considered trauma, especially bad divorce, is long-term trauma on kids. So that it is having an effect on you whether you realize it or not. So what I would recommend in order to help heal as you go rather than having to do it the very difficult way as an adult like me, very, very difficult, as things happen in your life, process them. Okay? If you need to take a moment and just stop doing an activity or turn off the TV or, just spend a night just like in an evening just thinking through things, praying about it. If something happens in your life, whether it be family related, school related, bullying, anything, even as adults, I have to remember this. Process it. Ask yourself, how am I really feeling right now? What is the underlying emotion? If you're feeling anxiety, depression, anger, usually that's coming from like a root. There's something at the bottom of it. Why am I reacting this way? And it's not always obvious. It's not like you're intentionally doing this, guys. It's not. I don't want to assume that everyone is either. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. Maybe just keep this in mind in case this does come up. Okay? But just as things come along, process them. If there are things that make you sad, allow yourself to feel sadness. Maybe even just cry about it. And then as you do that, you'll feel healed. Instead of getting anxious, instead of feeling like you're just go, and if one thing happens, you're just going to fall apart, just process it as you go. Okay, so if you're feeling sad, feel it. And then as you process it, you'll feel better. If you ever get stuck feeling just bad, talk to somebody, okay? We'll figure it out together. Talk to one of us. Talk to your mom and dad. Talk to your close friend or some other mentor like a grandparent, okay? We'll figure it out together. It's hard sometimes to understand what's happening, and that's totally okay. Sometimes we just need to talk things out. Even as we talk things out with another person, sometimes we figure it out as we're speaking it. There have been so many times where I didn't get it, but then I talked to somebody about it, and as we're kind of going back and forth, I just understood. I just had to talk about it in order to make those connections. So turn to somebody. But, and as you feel moments of happiness and joy, like, embrace that, all emotions, just like embrace them because you don't want them to control you, okay? You just want to move through them, heal from them, especially the negative ones. You want to move through them, heal from them, and then you'll be okay, okay? And again, especially you younger guys, like, you might not, it might be confusing at first. It might be difficult because you're young and you don't necessarily know. But just the main thing is ask yourself, what do I really feel right now? And what's causing it? And then be like, okay, that's what it is. And you'll be surprised how much better you feel after that. And, as adults too. It works for adults. So practice it now, and then you'll have much more emotional health and mental health as you get older, as you're adults later and going through high school and all those things later. This will help you out. It'll give you better emotional and mental health so that you can handle things as they come up in life. So I hope that made sense. Again, things like anger especially, that's a secondary emotion. I know we mentioned that, but I just want to rehash it. If you're angry, there's usually an underlying cause. So figure out what that is and then fix it. That would be my recommendation. I faced a lot of things with anger when I was a kid, and I didn't know back then that there was a root cause that I wasn't addressing. I just felt angry because I was hurt and I didn't know what to do with it. So, but this, after many psychological studies, we are starting to understand this. We only started really studying this in like the late 1900s. So this is a relatively new thing, but it works. It's true. So if you have questions, call me, Megan, Tyler, Anthony. We'd be happy to help you guys. So, hope this helps. Hope you guys have a great week. Again, reach out with some highs and lows. We want to hear back from you. We want to know how you're doing. So, hope school is going well, and we'll talk to you guys soon.